There is a city rising in the desert, and rising is perhaps the only word that captures what is happening here. Not growing, because growing implies something organic, something gradual, something that unfolds according to its own internal logic. What is happening in Riyadh is more intentional than that, more directed. It is the result of decisions made and then executed with a kind of discipline that most cities cannot imagine. I came here expecting to find construction. I found something else. I found transformation. The difference matters. Construction adds to what exists. It builds on the foundation that is already there, extending the city outward or upward, filling in the gaps. Transformation is different. Transformation replaces. It reimagines. It looks at what exists and asks not how to make it bigger, but how to make it different, how to make it something it was not before. This is what is happening here. The city is not simply getting larger, it is becoming something new. The evidence is everywhere, but it is not always the evidence you expect. Yes, there are cranes on the skyline. Yes, there are towers going up and highways being laid. But the real transformation is harder to see. It is in the conversations that are happening in offices without windows onto the street, in the plans that exist only as lines on screens, in the decisions being made about what this place will be in 20 years, in 50 years, in a century. These are not small decisions. They are not incremental adjustments. They are fundamental reimaginings of how a society organizes itself, how it earns its living, how it relates to the rest of the world, how it prepares for a future that will be radically different from the past. The past here was built on one thing, a single resource, drawn from the ground, sold to a world that could not function without it. This resource created everything, the roads, the buildings, the universities, the hospitals, the entire infrastructure of modern life. It was a foundation that seemed unshakable, and for decades it was. But foundations can become prisons. When everything depends on one thing, the fate of everything is tied to the fate of that one thing. And the people who lead here have looked at the future and seen what it holds. They have seen the world changing. They have seen the demand shifting. They have seen the end, not immediately, not tomorrow, but eventually, inevitably. And so they have decided to build a different foundation. While the first one still holds, while there is still time, while the resources are still flowing and can be redirected towards something new. This is what transformation means in Riyadh. It means using the wealth of the present to construct the economy of the future. It means investing in industries that do not yet exist here, in skills that have not yet been developed, in systems that will only make sense when the old systems no longer work. It is a gamble, of course. All transformation is a gamble. You are betting that you understand what is coming, that your investments will pay off, that the future you are building toward is the future that will actually arrive. There are no guarantees, there never are. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is to do nothing, to keep extracting until there is nothing left to extract, to let the world change around you while you stand still, to wake up one day and discover that the foundation has crumbled and there is nothing to replace it. The people making these decisions are not naive. They know the risks. They have studied what has happened to other places that depended on a single resource and failed to diversify. They have seen the ghost towns, the rusted infrastructure, the populations left behind. They are determined not to become another cautionary tale. Walking through the city, you can feel this determination. It is in the pace of the development, in the scale of the projects, in the ambition that seems to saturate every conversation. There is an urgency here, but it is a disciplined urgency, a planned urgency, not the panic of crisis, but the focus of purpose. The old city still exists, of course. The traditional markets, the neighborhoods that have been here for generations, the rhythm of life that predates the oil, that predates the wealth, that connects the present to a past that stretches back centuries. This is not being erased. It is being incorporated, woven into the fabric of what is being built. But make no mistake, what is being built is new. It is a new kind of city, a new kind of economy, a new kind of society. The transformation is not cosmetic, it is structural. I spent time in the business districts, in the towers where the planning happens. The people there spoke in terms that were unfamiliar, not the language of extraction, but the language of creation. They talked about industries, about technologies, about the human capital that would be needed to make it all work. They talked about the young people who were being trained, the skills they were acquiring, the roles they would play in an economy that does not yet exist. This is the heart of the transformation, not the buildings, though the buildings are impressive, not the infrastructure, though the infrastructure is extensive, but the people, the reshaping of a workforce, the education of a generation, the cultivation of capabilities that have never been needed here before and will be essential in the years ahead. It is a patient project. It has to be. You cannot transform a society overnight. You cannot create new industries by decree. You can only create the conditions, only plant the seeds, only wait and work, and hope that what grows is what you intended. The women here are part of this transformation in ways that would have been unimaginable a generation ago. They are in the offices, they are in the universities, they are starting businesses and leading projects. The change is visible, tangible, undeniable. It is not complete, it may never be complete, but it is happening. This too is part of the calculation. A society that uses only half its human potential is a society that is limiting itself. A society that empowers everyone is a society that can compete. The math is simple, even if the social change is complex. I think about the leaders who are driving this. They are not visible in the way that leaders are visible in other places. They do not give constant interviews or appear on screens. They operate at a remove through systems and structures that they have designed. Their presence is felt in the direction of things, in the priorities that are set, in the resources that are allocated, in the choices that are made at every level of the hierarchy. This is a particular kind of leadership. Not the charismatic leadership that inspires through personality, but the architectural leadership that shapes through structure. The leader as designer. The leader as engineer. The leader as the person who determines the conditions within which everyone else will operate. It requires a certain kind of confidence. The confidence to make decisions that will not bear fruit for decades. The confidence to invest in projects that you will not live to see completed. The confidence to tell an entire society that the way things have always been done is not the way things will be done in the future. The city reflects this confidence. There is no hesitation in the construction, no half measures. The projects are enormous. The timelines are long. The vision is clear, even if the execution is still ongoing. At night, the skyline glows. The towers are lit with a brightness that seems almost defiant against the darkness of the desert. This is a city that does not hide, that does not apologize, that is not embarrassed by its ambition. But there is also a quieter side, the parks that are being created, the cultural institutions that are being built, the spaces for reflection and gathering that are being woven into the urban fabric. This is not only about commerce. It is about creating a place where people want to live, where life has texture and meaning beyond the economic. The desert surrounds everything. It is always there, at the edge of the city, at the edge of vision. A reminder of what this land was before the wealth arrived. A reminder of what it could become if the transformation fails. A reminder of the stakes. But the desert is also being transformed. Green spaces are being created where there was only sand. Agricultural projects are being developed that seem to defy the climate. Water is being managed with a care that reflects its scarcity. Even the land itself is being reshaped. This is the scale of the ambition, not just to transform the economy, not just to transform the society, but to transform the very environment, to create conditions for life where life was difficult, to bend nature as much as nature can be bent to human purpose. Whether it will work, no one can say. The future is always uncertain. The plans, however detailed, are only plans. The reality will be different. It always is. But the commitment is real. The resources are being deployed. The work is being done every day in ways large and small. The transformation continues. The old ways are not gone. They are still here, still visible, still part of the fabric, but they are no longer the only ways. They are no longer the future. They are the past, being honored even as they are being left behind. The traffic moves through streets that did not exist a few years ago. The young people walk to jobs that did not exist a generation ago. The money flows through channels that are constantly being reshaped. Everything is in motion. And yet, there is a steadiness beneath the motion, a direction, a sense that all this movement is going somewhere, that it is not random, not chaotic, not directionless, that there is a destination, even if the destination is still being built. The sun sets over the city. The call to prayer sounds from 1,000 minarets. The ancient and the modern exist side by side, not in tension, but in conversation. This is a place that is learning how to be both, how to honor what was while building what will be. The night comes, the work continues. In the offices and the construction sites, in the universities and the laboratories, in the quiet rooms where the plans are made, the transformation goes on, slowly, steadily, deliberately, not rushing toward the future, but walking toward it with purpose, with patience, with the understanding that great change takes time and the time is being used carefully, intentionally. As the city continues to rise, as the desert watches, as the future takes shape, one decision at a time, one building at a time, one generation at a time, the transformation continues beyond the story, beyond the telling, into the years that have not yet arrived,